Okay, picture this scenario. It's, say, 2 a.m., the house is dead silent,
Mm-hmm.
you're warm, you're comfortable, maybe you're in a great dream, and then snap, you're awake,
Oh, I know this feeling.
and you know exactly why. You have to use the bathroom. Again.
It is the absolute worst. And honestly, for a huge portion of the population, that isn't just a bad night. That's every night.
Exactly. So you do the zombie shuffle down the hall, trying to keep one eye closed so the light doesn't totally wake you up, and you're just praying you can fall back asleep.
And you often can't. You struggle to find that comfortable spot again, and then, the next day you really pay the price.
You do. And here is where we usually just shrug and say, well, I'm getting older.
Hmm.
That's the standard line, isn't it?
It's the go-to excuse.
If you're a guy, you blame the prostate. If you're a woman, maybe you say weak bladder or something from childbirth.
Right.
We basically assume it's a plumbing issue, like a leaky faucet that just comes with the warranty expiring on our bodies.
We treat the bladder like this mechanical part that's just wearing out. But if we look at the research we've pulled for this deep dive, I mean, specifically the metabolic data, the first major insight is this.
Okay.
If you are waking up to pee, it is very likely not a bladder problem.
That is a massive shift in perspective right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because if I'm waking up to pee, it feels very much like a bladder problem.
I know it does, but the bladder is just the messenger.
The messenger.
It's the victim in this whole scenario, not the villain. The actual root cause is systemic. It's your metabolism, your hormones, your electrolyte balance. The bladder is just reacting to instructions it's getting from way higher up the chain.
So we're shooting the messenger every time we complain about it. Okay, so before we get into the why, because the mechanics of this are fascinating, I want to talk about the stakes.
Yes.
Because I think people downplay this. They think, oh, it's just a nuisance. I lose 10 minutes of sleep. Big deal.
It is a big deal. It's far from harmless. When you wake up to urinate, the clinical term is nocturia, you are fracturing your sleep cycles.
You're not just losing 10 minutes.
No, you're usually interrupting the cycle right before deep sleep or REM sleep. And the source material is crystal clear on the cascade of destruction this causes.
So we're not just talking about needing an extra cup of coffee the next day.
Not at all. We are talking about a direct hit to your metabolic health. The sources show that this specific type of sleep disruption keeps your cortisol levels chronically elevated.
And cortisol is the main stress hormone.
It is. And when cortisol stays high at night because you're waking up, it becomes a master switch for storing visceral fat.
Visceral fat, that's the dangerous stuff, right?
That's the stuff that wraps around your organs. So, connecting the dots here. Waking up to pee could actually be the very thing preventing you from losing weight.
No way.
You can diet all day long, but if you're waking up 2 or 3 times a night, your cortisol is just fighting you every step of the way.
That's incredible. So this nighttime wake-up call is basically a weight gain signal.
It is, and it cascades. High cortisol and poor sleep, they jack up your risk for type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, and high blood pressure because your arteries never get a chance to fully relax.
The part that really stood out to me in the reading was the cognitive side of it. The idea that the brain has a janitorial shift at night. I love that image.
It's a perfect description of the glymphatic system. It's fascinating. It basically shrinks your brain cells a tiny bit during deep sleep to allow fluid to, wash away metabolic waste.
It's literally detoxing the brain.
Exactly, getting rid of plaques and toxins. But here's the catch. It only turns on during deep, continuous sleep.
So if you wake up every 3 hours to use the bathroom,
The janitors can't do their job. They get sent home early.
and you wake up with that brain fog, that cotton wool feeling in your head,
Exactly. Anxiety goes up, depression risk increases, cognitive function drops. For men, it tanks their testosterone production,
which happens at night.
mostly during sleep. So fixing this isn't about convenience. It's about protecting your long-term health.
Okay, mission accepted. We need to stop this wake-up call.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack the biological reasons this is happening and then walk through the protocol to stop it. And looking at the research, there's a specific hormone at the center of this that I'd never really heard of.
It's called ADH, antidiuretic hormone.
ADH. Okay, break that down for us. What's its day job?
Well, its job is fluid regulation. Just think of antidiuretic as anti-urinate. This hormone is designed to stop you from losing too much fluid.
Right.
And under normal, healthy conditions, ADH works the night shift. It follows a circadian rhythm. It ramps up when the sun goes down, and it tells your kidneys, hey, the body's sleeping. Hold on to water, concentrate the urine, do not fill the bladder.
So it's like a dam, basically.
Perfect analogy. It is a dam. If ADH is working, the dam holds, the water stays in the system, and you sleep for 8 hours straight. But if that hormone is dysfunctional or inhibited,
The dam breaks.
the dam breaks, and your body continues making urine all night long at the same rate it does during the day.
And that's why the volume can be so high. It's not that your bladder shrank, it's that your kidneys never got the memo to close for the night.
Precisely. And this is why the aging excuse doesn't really hold up. The source notes that there are cultures where people live well into their 80s and 90s and sleep through the night.
But in the U.S., what is it, like 1 in 4 women and 1 in 5 men have this issue?
It's a huge number. It isn't just age. It's a metabolic signal that has gone haywire. ADH is supposed to protect your sleep. If it's not working, we have to ask why.
So if the dam is breaking, we need to figure out what's cracking the concrete. And the sources point to a few triggers. I want to start with the physics of it. Gravity and electrolytes.
Yes, this is the salt and potassium balance. A very common trigger for this is simply retaining fluid in the wrong places during the day.
The sources mentioned the leg dent test. Can you walk us through that? Because that seems like something anyone listening could check right now.
It's a really practical self-diagnostic. If you press your thumb firmly into your lower leg, just above the ankle, and when you pull it away, it leaves a visible dent that stays for a few seconds.
That's pitting edema. That's fluid retention.
Okay, I think a lot of people have seen that maybe after a long flight or a day on their feet. But how does fluid in my ankle turn into a 2 a.m. wake-up call?
Gravity. It's simple physics. During the day, you're upright. Gravity pulls excess fluid down into your lower extremities.
Right, your socks feel tight at the end of the day.
Exactly. The fluid is trapped down there, but then what happens when you go to bed?
You lie down. You're horizontal.
And now gravity isn't keeping that fluid in your ankles anymore. The playing field is level. That fluid flows back into the bloodstream, it circulates to the kidneys, and the kidneys suddenly go, whoa, look at all this excess water. We need to filter this out now.
So your bladder fills up just because you changed your physical orientation.
Exactly. The fluid was hiding in your legs all day. You lie down, it re-enters the system, and 2 hours later, boom, you're awake. That is wild. But why is the fluid there in the first place? Is it just from drinking too much water?
Usually no, it's an electrolyte imbalance, specifically too much sodium and not enough potassium.
Wow.
Sodium holds water, we all know that. You eat salty chips, you get puffy. Potassium is the counterbalance. It helps pump fluid out of the tissues and keep it inside the cells where it belongs.
So if we have too much salt and not enough potassium, we get the swollen ankles, and then we get the wake-up call.
Correct. And if you look at the standard modern diet, we are swimming in sodium and absolutely starving for potassium.
So the fix isn't necessarily to stop drinking water, it's to fix the chemical balance.
You need to increase potassium to balance out the sodium. The source really emphasizes getting it from foods, specifically avocados and large leafy green salads.
And when you say large?
I mean large. The source suggests 7 to 10 cups of vegetables a day to get the 4,700 milligrams of potassium you need.
That's a lot of salad, but the payoff is sleeping through the night.
Exactly. Potassium helps your body manage fluid correctly during the day, so it doesn't flood your bladder at night.
Okay, so we've got the hormone ADH and the gravity electrolyte issue. But there's a bigger culprit here, one we talk about a lot. Insulin.
You just can't talk about nighttime urination without talking about blood sugar. In fact, frequent urination is often one of the very first signs of prediabetes.
The phrase that jumped out at me from the source was, water follows sugar.
That is the golden rule of biology here. If your blood sugar is elevated, maybe you're insulin resistant or you just ate a carb-heavy meal, your body goes into an emergency state.
Because high blood sugar is toxic.
It's toxic to the vascular system. The body wants that sugar out of the blood immediately. And how does it do that? Through your urine.
So the sugar acts like a magnet for water.
Yes, like a sponge.
What?
It pulls massive amounts of fluid from your cells and tissues to flush out the glucose. So you get this high volume of urine specifically because your blood sugar is unstable.
And this leads us to what the source calls the snacking trap. This is huge. It warns against snacking in the evening. But here's the thing. Late at night, you often feel thirsty. Like genuinely thirsty. Are you saying we shouldn't drink?
This is where it gets really counterintuitive and, frankly, a bit scary. The source argues that this late-night thirst often isn't dehydration. It's a survival signal.
A survival signal for what?
Well, think about the metabolic state. You eat a bag of chips or cookies at 9 p.m., you spike your insulin. Your body knows it has a long fast coming up while you sleep. The thirst mechanism kicks in not because you're dry, but because your body needs solvent to process the sugar and salt you just ate.
Wait. So I interpret it as I need a glass of water. But my body is actually saying I need help processing this junk food.
That's exactly it. And the result is a double whammy. You eat the snack, which spikes insulin and pulls water to the bladder, and you drink fluid because you feel thirsty. It is a guaranteed recipe for waking up at 3 a.m.
It's a trap. We're tricking ourselves into ruining our own sleep.
We are. And that's why addressing insulin resistance, cutting carbs, stopping the late snacking is often the single most effective way to stop this. Stabilize your blood sugar, you stop the flesh.
That's a huge takeaway. Okay, so speaking of things we consume, we've covered salt and sugar. But there are three other big ones: protein, alcohol, and caffeine. Let's start with protein, because this one surprised me. A steak dinner seems healthy?
Protein is healthy structurally, but metabolically, it's kind of a dirty fuel. When you metabolize protein, your body produces a waste product called urea.
Urea, as in urine.
Correct. Urea is the main solid component of urine. The body has to flush it out. So if you eat a massive steak at 8 p.m., your kidneys are going to be working overtime for the next 4 to 6 hours to process that protein and flush all the urea.
You're giving your kidneys a huge workload right before they're supposed to clock out.
Exactly. And to flush urea, you need water. So the recommendation is to shift your main protein intake to lunch. Make lunch your heavy meal. Keep dinner lighter on the protein so your kidneys aren't in overdrive at midnight.
That's a really actionable tip. Okay, next up, alcohol. I think we all intuitively know this one, but the mechanism is actually tied to that first hormone, ADH, isn't it?
It is. Alcohol is the kryptonite for ADH. Remember the dam that holds the water back? Alcohol just smashes the dam. It chemically inhibits the release of antidiuretic hormone from your brain.
So even just one glass of wine before bed.
It's telling your kidneys to open the floodgates. It prevents your brain from sending the stop peeing signal. It's not just the liquid volume in the glass, it's the chemical signal. If you struggle with waking up, alcohol at night is non-negotiable. It has to go.
And finally, caffeine.
Caffeine is a well-known diuretic. It irritates the bladder and forces fluid out. So the advice is just limit it to the morning. And don't forget the hidden sources: tea, soda, even chocolate.
Oh, right, chocolate.
Chocolate has stimulants like theobromine that can act as mild diuretics. For some sensitive people, that square of dark chocolate after dinner could be the thing tipping you over the edge.
Wow. It's amazing how these little habits just stack up against you.
We are effectively training our bladder to be active at night. We're conditioning it.
Okay, I want to pivot to a specific scenario that I know drives people crazy. We've been talking about volume, too much urine, but what about the person who wakes up with a desperate, urgent need to go? They rush to the bathroom, and barely anything comes out.
Yes, the false alarm. This is a crucial distinction because the root cause is totally different.
It's not a fluid issue.
No. If the volume is low, but the urgency is high, this is likely a neurological issue, a neurogenic bladder.
So the nerves are misfiring, sending a full signal when the tank is almost empty.
Exactly. The nerves controlling the bladder are sensing pressure that isn't justified by the amount of liquid. The source traces this back to a specific nutrient deficiency: vitamin B1 and magnesium.
B1 and magnesium, why those two?
Vitamin B1, or thiamine, is critical for your autonomic nervous system, the system that controls things like heart rate and bladder tension. High-carb diets deplete B1, so without enough of it, the bladder nerves become hypersensitive and twitchy.
And the magnesium.
Magnesium is the great relaxer. It allows smooth muscles, like the bladder wall, to actually relax. If you're low on magnesium, the bladder can spasm, and that spasm feels like urgency.
So for that person, drinking less water won't fix it.
Right, it won't fix the nerve issue. The protocol suggested is a therapeutic dose of vitamin B1, multiplying the label dose by 4, along with magnesium glycinate. That combination helps calm the nervous system down and stops those false alarms.
That is a huge distinction. Okay, we have covered so much ground here. Let's synthesize this into an action plan. The stop waking up checklist.
Let's do it.
Item number 1, the fluid cutoff.
No fluids 3 hours before bed. This is the golden rule. You need to give your kidneys time to process what's already in the system before you lie down.
And there was a stat in the reading. Our kidneys filter something like 180 liters of fluid a day.
180 liters, that's an immense amount of work.
But we only pee out about 1.5 liters.
Right. The kidneys are constantly recycling fluid. If you dump a big glass of water in right before bed, you overwhelm the system. The kidneys can't recycle it fast enough, so they just dump it to the bladder.
Okay, so hydrate early, stop early. Item number 2, diet.
No alcohol at night. That's the big one. And absolutely no snacking in the evening, especially carbs or salty stuff. You have to shut down the insulin response.
Item 3, electrolytes.
Get your potassium up. Eat avocados, big salads. Do it earlier in the day to stop retaining fluid in your ankles. No fluid in your ankles means no fluid in your bladder at 2 a.m.
Item 4, protein timing.
Eat your big protein meal at lunch. Keep dinner lighter to reduce that urea production at night.
And finally, the big picture.
Work on your insulin resistance. Lower your overall carb and sugar intake. If you fix the metabolism, the bladder issues very often just resolve themselves. It's all connected.
It's really empowering, isn't it? We feel like victims of our bodies, but this suggests we can actually take control back.
Absolutely. And it's about respecting the body's rhythms. Sleep is the foundation. If you're sacrificing sleep for a late-night snack or a glass of wine, you're making a terrible trade.
It really is that simple.
Yeah.
And that's serious.
It is. You know, there's a final thought that lingers for me from all this. We're always told to listen to our bodies. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're hungry, eat.
Right. Bodily intuition.
But what if our modern environment has totally scrambled those signals? The source suggests that feeling thirsty at 10 p.m. isn't a true signal of need. It's a signal of metabolic chaos caused by your diet.
That our survival instincts might actually be leading us astray because we've broken the underlying mechanism.
Exactly. Sometimes listening to your body actually means understanding the biology well enough to know when to ignore a signal that's leading you right off a cliff. We have to be smarter than our cravings.
That is something to chew on. Or rather, not chew on if it's after dinner.
All right, that is it for this deep dive. Here's my challenge to you. Try the 3-hour rule tonight, just for one night. See what happens. You might just rediscover what it feels like to sleep all the way through. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.